How does how does the how does the law of compensation relate to racism? Within the vastness of a phenomenon known as space, there exists a phenomenon commonly known as the universe. Within the universe, there exist numerous bodies of mass materials of various sizes and shapes, situated at various distances in their relationship to each other. Within some of these massed materials exist things that have been commonly referred to as plant life and animal life. Some of these some of this animal life is commonly referred to as human beings or people. None of these people are exactly alike in the way that they are. None of these people are exactly alike in the way that they think. None of these people are exactly alike in the way that they appear to other people. Because none of these people are exactly alike in the way that they are, in the way that they think, or in the way that they appear to other people, some of the people sometimes treat some of the other people in a different way. The difference in treatment between people is always based on a difference in thinking that exists among people. The difference in the thinking of some people sometimes causes differences in the treatment of other people based on size, shape, height, weight, complexion, general state of being, etc. Oftentimes, some people are treated in an unjust manner by other people on the basis of color or on the basis of factors that some people regard as being associated with color or an idea of color. When people are treated unjustly, they are deprived and or denied access to something of value to which they are entitled. When this happens, it is correct for them to ask for that to which they are entitled. When people ask for that to which they are entitled and are refused, they are then entitled to compensation. When people ask for compensation from others and are refused that compensation, they must then acquire compensation for themselves through their own efforts. When people seek to acquire compensation for themselves through their own efforts, they must establish a compensatory system to use as a basic guide for thought, speech, and or action. When people form and function, when people form and function through a compensation system, they should base that system on some form of compensatory code, which is especially designed to help serve the needs of people according to their status and or classification. Most people of the known universe classify themselves as being individual persons. Most people classify themselves. Most people classify themselves and or are classified by other people as being members of a group or members of a combination of interrelated and or associated groups on the basis of language, customs, religion, philosophy, economics, color, etc. Some people have classified themselves on the basis of the non color white. These people call themselves white people or Caucasian. Some people have been classified on the basis of the colors, non-white. These people are generally referred to as being black, brown, red, and yellow, or collectively non-white people. Other people may or may not be, or may not have been classified by other labels. Those people who have classified themselves as white, Caucasian, or as members of the white race, and who are in need of compensation are, should be, or have been provided with compensatory codes which are designed to serve the needs of white and or Caucasian people. Those people who have been classified as non-white and who are in need of compensation are, should be, or have been provided with compensatory codes which are designed to serve the needs of non-white people. Any other people who may be classified by other labels are in need of compensation and are in need of compensation should be provided with compensatory codes which are designed to serve the needs of those other people who are classified according to those other labels. The needs of all people are best served when their thought, speech, and action is promoted through the adoption of correct compensatory codes. No code, however, should be used to promote falsehood, non justice, or incorrectness. All codes should help to produce justice and correctness. The best and correct thing that each person should be taught should be for the basic purpose of helping people to think, speak, and act effectively to replace the system of white supremacy, racism, the, with the system of justice, balance between people. What is taught, what is taught, and what is learned should be used to apply to everything that a person says or does in each area of activity, including economics, education, entertainment, labor, law, politics, religion, sex, and war counterwar. According to compensatory logic, the basic broad purpose for all study is to learn how to solve problems without making any. Codification and the use of logic. Before saying or doing anything, think about the best possible way of saying or doing what you are going to say or do. Plan for what you say or do to be better than any other way of saying or doing what should be said or done. Use the logic that is part of the universe. Apply the logic for constructive purposes to everything that you say or do in every area of activity. There is reason to believe that that logic was produced at the same time that the universe was produced. There is reason to believe that there is a best way and a worst way to do or say everything that can be done or said. There is reason to believe that the use of logic can help a person find the answer to each question by asking more questions, including questions about the answer. Every time you have a problem, think about all the different ways that you can probably solve that problem. Study each of these ways and try what appears to be the very best solution to that problem. If the very best of what you try produces a constructive result, regard the result as a code for that specific problem. Codify everything that you say or do. According to compensatory logic, if you codify everything that you do or say and do so with the intent of producing a constructive result, the combined result of the codification is likely to be constructive. Before saying or doing anything in any area of activity, make a major effort based on your experiences and or the experiences of others to know and understand in advance what what results what the results are most likely to be. Avoid following the advice or suggestions of anyone who tries to get you to say or do something that, upon study, you learn that what you were told would likely lead to unnecessary trouble or would likely lead to a destructive and incorrect result. When everything seems to be working against your efforts to replace racism, white supremacy with justice, balance between people, be persistent and continue to focus on that goal. Continue to study anything and everything that may be of constructive use in best helping to produce that goal. Continue to use your spiritual motivation to help you to find the logical and the best and the absolute best way to say and do everything that should be said or done. When attempting to solve a problem, record what the major part of the problem is. Keep trying to produce the best way to solve all parts of the problem. Do this regardless of opposition, non-support, and or lack of skill. Continue trying to do your best. Constantly study what you may be doing that needs correcting. Constantly seek the logic and the most constructive use of it. Keep reminding yourself that, from all evidence, your reason for existence is to produce justice and correctness, balance between people, creatures, things, etc. All right. Good deal, good deal, good deal. Balance between people. All right. Part 3, Rethinking Social Integration. Question 11. Has education been the great racial equalizer for blacks? Education is a class issue bound by race and has no magical powers to equalize social and economic conditions between blacks and whites. Generations of black children were indoctrinated to believe the pathway to success and racial equality was education, just as it appeared to be for white children. Schools have consistently presented a paradox for blacks. First, if fortunate enough to get an education, a tool, they were limited as to where they could use their tool. There were few places within the black community to apply their acquired educational tools, And if they ventured outside, whites would determine if they were wanted, and the value of their black labor would determine if they were wanted and the value of their black labor. This paradox placed blacks not too far from where they had been in slavery. It was still hard for blacks to earn enough to support their families. Education, generally considered the mechanism for upward class mobility, has been an issue for blacks since the founding of this nation. First, it was against the law and public policies to teach a slave to read or write. Any person caught teaching a slave to read or write would suffer 39 lashes with a whip and a fine of $100. Following the Civil War, after nearly 360 years of slavery and being denied an education, approximately 5 million penniless, landless, jobless, uneducated, unclothed, homeless, and unprotected blacks were set free to by wander the countryside. They could neither read or nor write. Some public and private schools were set up by sympathetic churches, abolitionists, and individuals to teach blacks manual skills and to be subservient. Congress established the Freedmen's Bureau, a government agency to aid the transition of former slaves to a life of freedom. Before it became dysfunctional, the Bureau funded what are known as historically black colleges. These schools started as elementary type schools. These schools started as elementary type schools. These schools, started as elementary schools, grew and progressed to high schools, teachers' colleges, and finally to full colleges and universities. Although 96% of blacks in America were suffering from planned ignorance after the Civil War, they believed in the possibilities of an education. They believed if they acquired education, reading, writing, and deciphering, they could overcome imposed ignorance and become a self-sufficient and competitive group. Blacks diligently pursued education in the new schools. Parents went all out to make their children attend whatever school was available, whether public, private, or religious missionary schools. During the 30-year time period between 1866 and 1896, former slaves set an educational achievement record that has yet to be broken by any racial or ethnic group. When slavery ended in 1865, approximately 98% of black Americans were illiterate. Everybody. By 1896, blacks had reduced their illiteracy rate by more than half, from 98% to 45%. They educated themselves faster than the 26 million Europeans who entered the country during the same 30-year period, with nearly the same illiteracy rate as ex-slaves. Never in recorded history has any enslaved race or ethnic group reduced their illiteracy rate by 50% within a 30-year time period. But education was not an equalizer. While blacks were achieving educationally, they expected benefits. The expected benefits were not accruing to them. The 26 million immigrants were being installed over them as management and ownership class. With a lower educational achievement rate, with a lower educational achievement rate than blacks, newly arriving Europeans outdistanced blacks in employment, business, politics, and income. Unfortunately, higher class status and monetary benefits that flow academic typically follow academic achievement did not follow black educational achievement. The European whites became business owners, managers, administrators, and prominent public servants. Blacks with greater educational achievement simply became low-level workers and domestic servants. By 1920, blacks again reduced their illiteracy rate, this time by 20%, which was equal to that of Jewish and Asian immigrants entering the country. By the 1950s, the national illiteracy rate for black Americans was down to 16%. Yet, when the black civil rights movement began in the 1960s, blacks with a college degree did not earn as much as white high school dropouts. Black Americans in general earned only 56 cents for every dollar earned by whites. In the 10-year period between 1966 and 1976, the earnings ratio of blacks moved up to 66 cents for every dollar earned by whites. The nation entered the 21st century with black Americans attaining even greater educational achievements. However, their income had reverted to 56 cents for every dollar earned by a white person. David O. Sears, author of Racialized Politics, The Debate About Racism in America, argues that whites' accusation that blacks need more education provides a facade for hiding white racism. It misdirects blacks to search for power in education to propel them into upward mobility rather than searching for power in economics. Mhm. Education, education power is illusionary because socioeconomic benefits did not fully track academic and uh, and achievement gains. By the 1950s, a black person with a college degree could not earn the salary of a white high school dropout. Black teachers earn of what less than half of what white teachers earn. Blacks with one or two college degrees worked part-time as domestic servants in white homes or in low-paying jobs in white businesses. In 2017, young black college graduates are often unemployed or underemployed. Many grew up believing the myth that racism was a thing of the past, that all they needed was a good education to succeed in life. The reality that racism still exists is a shock to the young people who are trained to be chemists, engineers, writers, physicists, computer programmers, and biologists. Their skin color continues to be a handicap for them in the 21st century. According, oh, my bad. Um, Education can only be a potential. Education can only be a potential for upward mobility. The benefits are bound by race, which entraps blacks. Those who manage to get an education generally move up some, but do not achieve the same degree of socioeconomic mobility as whites. Blacks do not have a competitive alternative economy or any place in which to use their skills and training to better themselves in their own group. Blacks need their own communities where they can own businesses and be employed so they can practice group based competitive economics in a capitalistic society and use their education to one, benefit themselves individually, and two, benefit their race. Andale pues. That was the black. That was, if you're still here, that was the A Black History Reader by Dr. Claude Anderson. Black History Reader by Dr. Claude Anderson. And then the other one, if you were there earlier, is the United Compensatory Code System Concept by Neely Fuller Jr. All right, got to exercise.